Hello everyone, welcome to my lecture series of electromagnetic fields. We will discuss different theories, phenomena and numerical solution of different cases in this series. I hope this series will give a fruitful outcome to physics scholars or engineering students. In previous video, we have learned cylindrical coordinate system. Press the I button to review that content. Today we are going to learn spherical coordinate system. So let us begin. A coordinate system are used to locate any point, line, area, volume, any regular shape or irregular shape in the space. The surfaces used to define the spherical coordinate systems are: first surface is a sphere with radius r and whose center is always laid on origin. The second surface is a right circular cone with its axis as z-axis and apex, which is the top of cone, will always lie on origin. And the third surface is a half plane perpendicular to xy plane with one side on z-axis. To learn any coordinate system properly, it is very important to keep the conditions of each and every surface in our mind. So let us recap our previous coordinate system. So first one was Cartesian coordinate system, in which we have considered three planes. So the first plane was YZ plane, which is free to move from negative infinity to positive infinity on x-axis. The second plane of interest in Cartesian coordinate system was XZ plane, and it is free to move from negative infinity to positive infinity on y-axis. And the final third plane was XY plane, which is free to move from negative infinity to positive infinity on z-axis. So this is how we have defined the three planes, and intersection of these three planes represents a point in any Cartesian coordinate system. In cylindrical coordinate system, that is in the previous video, we have learned that the surfaces of our interest was a cylinder with radius r. The condition was its axis will always lies on a z-axis, and this cylinder is free to extend or contract from 0 to infinity, and the range of r hence became 0 less than or equal to r less than or equal to infinity. The second surface of interest was a half plane which is perpendicular to xy plane. So as you can see, this black plane is always perpendicular to xy plane. And another condition which should be satisfied was its one side will always lie on z-axis. Fine. Here the coordinate which is defined was an angle made by this half plane with x-axis, and we have called it phi. Fine. So to cover each and every point of space, the angle should be varied from 0 to 2 pi radian. Hence the range of phi over here was 0 to 2 pi. And the third surface in cylindrical system was an xy plane, which is free to move from negative infinity to positive infinity on z-axis. Now we will discuss three surfaces of spherical coordinate system, which is the main interest of today's video. So our first surface, as we have discussed, is a sphere of radius r, and its center is strictly laid on origin. It is free to extract or constrict to infinity. The direction of this plane will always be the same as the direction of radius pointing outwards of the surface. Fine. And hence we can define a range of the radius as 0 to plus infinity. So this is our first surface of interest, which has a hollow spherical shape, and that is the only reason this coordinate system is named as spherical coordinate system. The second surface of interest is a right circular cone with its axis as z-axis and apex on origin. So as you can see in the figure, that this is a right circular cone which is making a 90-degree angle with z-axis, fine, and its apex is laid on the origin, fine. It forms a half angle theta with z-axis. So as you can see, it is making a half angle theta with z-axis, and it can be increased clockwise. The direction of this plane will be in the incremental direction of theta. Now we can also imagine another cone with incremental value of theta, let us say theta prime or theta dash. If we keeps on increasing the value of this half angle, then now it will be theta double dash. And if we want to cover each and every point of the space with the help of this right circular cone, then we need to change the half angle theta from 0 degree to 180 degree, or in terms of radian we can say 0 radian to pi radian, fine. So the range of second coordinate will be 0 to pi, fine. So if we increase the theta beyond 90 degree, then our half circular cone will look like this, okay. The third surface of interest is a half plane perpendicular to xy plane with one side always laid on z-axis. It is the same half plane that we have learned in the cylindrical coordinate system as well. It is free to revolve around z-axis. Direction of this plane will always be the same as direction of its rotation, and here the coordinate which this plane is making is defined as phi, which is the angle of this plane, azimuth angle, fine, with this plane to x-axis. And to cover each and every point in the space, this phi should be changed from 0 to 2 pi radian, fine. Hence the range of phi is similarly defined as 0 to 2 pi, fine. So in spherical system we have these three plane of interest, okay. Now let us learn how to represent a point in spherical coordinate system. So a point can be represented at the intersection of these three surfaces. The coordinates of spherical system are, the first coordinate is known as r, which is the radius of the sphere. The second coordinate is known as theta, which is half angle formed by the cone with z-axis. Here it is very important to understand the angle is made with reference to watt, fine. So this theta is formed with z-axis. And third coordinate of spherical system is phi, which is azimuth angle of the half plane with respect to x-axis, fine. The intersection of any two surfaces will be a line or a circle or a half circle, but the intersection of all three surfaces defines a point. So let us visualize that how these surfaces are intersecting with each other. So we know how to represent any point in a Cartesian coordinate system, and xyz is the coordinate of point in Cartesian system. The same point P can also be represented in spherical coordinate system with modified coordinates as r, theta and phi. So any point in in spherical coordinate system can be represented by P into round bracket r comma theta comma phi. So r, theta and phi are the coordinates. So let us first imagine a sphere with some radius r which consists the point P. Fine. So the distance from origin to point P will be same as the radius of sphere. Now the second surface, which is a right circular cone over here and making angle theta with z axis, and the intersection of these two surfaces, that is a sphere and a cone, will give us a circle. Fine. And this point P will also lie on that circle. Now this is our third plane of interest, which is a half plane perpendicular to xy plane and making angle phi with respect to x. Fine. And this plane, this black one, is going to intersect with the sphere in a semicircle or half circle way. Fine. So this dotted line represents the intersection of black and red planes. Similarly, this black plane also intersect this cone, and the intersection of these two planes are a straight line from the origin to infinity. Fine. An intersection of all these three planes defines a point which can be represented by P, r, theta, phi. Fine. So now let us talk about the directions. So the direction of r will be in the direction of radius. The direction of theta will be in the tangential direction of the surface of sphere at point P. Fine. And we will take this direction into the incremental value of theta. So as you can see, the theta is going to increase in clockwise manner downwards. Fine. So the direction of theta is taken as downward. Similarly, the direction of phi here is also in the tangential direction to the spherical surface, but in the incremental value of phi, and we know that phi will increase in anti-clockwise direction. So this direction a phi bar is actually inside our yz plane. Fine. Now base vectors. Similar to Cartesian system, there are three unit vectors in the direction of r, theta and phi, and these are mutually perpendicular to each other. Now let us understand how these three are mutually perpendicular. As you can see, the direction of AR is in the direction of radius. Fine. And these two directions, that is a theta bar and a phi bar, both are tangent to point P. Here it is our point P, r, theta, phi. Fine. So a radius and a tangent will always make 90-degree angle with each other. Fine. And now this a theta and a phi are the tangent but in the perpendicular direction to each other, hence they are also making an angle of 90-degree. Fine. So this is how we can visualize that all three vectors are mutually perpendicular to each other, which is very essential condition to define any coordinate system. Fine. So AR is directed from the center of the sphere, that is origin, to outward of its surface. A theta is tangent to the sphere and oriented in the direction of increasing angle theta, and a phi bar is also tangent to the sphere. It is also tangent to a conical surface, fine, that is this blue surface, and it is always on the plane which is parallel to horizontal plane or xy plane. In this case, it is oriented in the direction of increasing phi. Fine. So as far as the angles are concerned, we always consider a direction of incremental value of that angle. Fine. Hence the vector of point P can be represented as P bar equals to PR AR bar plus P theta A theta bar plus P phi A phi bar. Here AR bar, A theta bar and A phi bar are unit vector or base vector of this spherical system, which only represents the direction of r, theta and phi respectively, while PR, P theta and P phi are the coordinates of point P. In Cartesian system, the base vectors are not dependent on the value of coordinates of point. But in spherical system, AR bar, A theta bar and A phi bar are the function of theta and phi. Here, as you can see, if we change the value of theta and phi, then all three directions will change. Fine. So here the directions are the function of coordinates. Fine. In cylindrical as well, the direction AR bar and A phi bar were the function of value of phi. Fine. But here all three directions are the function of two angles theta and phi. Okay. So in this way some calculation will be quite different compared to Cartesian system. And being so, integration and differentiation with respect to theta and phi component should not be treated as constant. Phi, we must take it as a variable whenever we are performing integration or differentiation in spherical coordinate system. Now let us understand the relationship between Cartesian and spherical system. Fine. So consider a point P xyz coordinates in Cartesian system, and the same point P can be represented by r theta phi coordinates in spherical system. If Cartesian coordinates of any point is known, then we can easily calculate its spherical coordinates and vice versa. Now let us learn how can we do that. Here we can see the vector r, which is making angle theta with z-axis. Fine. So the projection of r on z-axis will be this is the projection of r on z-axis, and this projection will be modulus of r cos theta. So obviously this length will be modulus of r sin theta. So let us represent in a proper way. So this length will be r sin theta. This is simple trigonometry. Fine. And this length will be r cos theta. Now this vertical length is nothing but the z coordinate of point P. As you can see, this vertical length is nothing but the z coordinate of point P. So we can say that this length and this length will be equal, and z will be equal to r cos theta. Fine. Now to have a relationship with x and y axis, we are going to take a projection of r sin theta on xy plane. Fine. So here we have taken a projection of this length on xy plane. Now as you can see, the r sin theta is making angle phi with x-axis and angle pi by 2 minus phi with y-axis. Fine. So again, using the same trigonometric rule, this length will be r sin theta sin phi, and this length will be r sin theta cos phi. Fine. So we can say that this length, which is nothing but x coordinate of point P, will be equal to r sin theta cos phi, and this length, which is y coordinate of point P, is nothing but r sin theta sin phi. So as you can see, we can define x, y and z in terms of r theta and phi. Now imagining it in reverse direction, then r we know that this is our x, this is our y. So r sine theta is nothing but under root of x square plus y square. Fine. Here we have applied Pythagoras theorem on this right angle triangle. Fine. Now if we apply a Pythagoras theorem on this right angle triangle with z as height and r sine theta as base, then its hypotenuse, which is nothing but r, or radius, is nothing but under root x square plus y square plus z square. Fine. Now to determine theta and phi, we can consider this right angle triangle, which is making 90-degree angle over here. Fine. And if we define sine theta or cos theta, fine, then we can have the value of this angle. And here for phi, we can consider this right angle triangle on the xy plane, and we can define tan phi. Fine. Summarizing this all, we can have a very decent table from which we can convert any point from spherical to Cartesian system or from Cartesian to spherical coordinates. Fine. So let us remove every extra writings. So in Cartesian to spherical, we can have the value or r coordinate of point can be calculated by under root x square plus y square plus z square, that is the sum of square of its xyz coordinates. The second coordinate of spherical system, that is theta, can be calculated by theta is equals to cos inverse z by r. So if we define cos function, fine, then it will be the ratio of neighboring side by 2 hypotenuse. Fine. So cos theta will be z by r and theta will be cos inverse z by r. And phi, it will be determined similarly as we have determined in cylindrical system. So we have considered this right angle triangle and defined tan phi, which is the ratio of opposite side to neighboring side. So tan phi is nothing but y by x, and phi hence will become tan inverse y by x. Fine. In other words, if we have spherical coordinates of any point and if we want to convert it in a Cartesian coordinate, then we can calculate its x coordinate with r sine theta cos phi. So as you can see, this and this both are having equal length, so x will be r sine theta cos phi. Similarly, this line and this line both have equal length, so y will be r sine theta sine phi, and z will simply become r cos theta. Fine. So these 6 equations, which are very easy to understand, very easy to derive, are going to be very useful whenever we need to convert any point from one coordinate system to another. Now position vector. Here is an exercise that we are going to locate 2 points in the spherical system, but as per our practice, I will show you how to locate a point. Fine. So I will show you the location of P, and location of Q you will do it on your own. So the radius for point P is defined as 4 units. So first we will draw a sphere of 4 unit radius. Fine. I'm not going to draw full sphere because we know that both the angles are positive, so nothing is going to lay on the left hand side of z-axis. Fine. Then this 22.5 degree is nothing but the theta coordinate of point P, which is the half angle made by the cone. Fine. So we know that the angle between y and z is 90 degree, so its half angle will be 45 degree, and again bisecting this angle will give us 22.5 degree. So this line is making an angle 22.5 degree with z-axis. So we have shown the theta, and the third coordinate of point P is phi. Again, this phi is the angle made by the half plane with respect to x-axis. So we know the angle between x and y axis is 90 degree, and the bisection of this angle is nothing but the third coordinate of point P, which is 45 degree. Fine. So this is our theta 22.5 degree, this is our phi 45 degree. Now let us erase every unwanted things. So if we take a projection of this line into here, then see, here will be a circular intersection, fine, and here will be the intersection of all three surfaces. So removing again unwanted lines, we can represent a point P as 22.5 degrees, 45 degrees. Fine. So this is how we can represent any point in spherical coordinate system. Now this second point Q, I am giving you as an activity. Now differential element. We know it is very important to learn differential elements in order to have better understanding of any coordinate system. So let us consider a point P r theta phi in a spherical coordinate system, and let each coordinate increase by a differential amount, say dr, d theta and d phi, in their respective directions. So P bar will be r ar bar plus theta a theta bar and phi a phi bar. Fine. So please pay attention on the further animation. So I first represent a sphere with radius r, a right circular cone with half angle theta. I have shown this theta into left hand side because in right hand side we need to represent some important parameters. Fine, that is why. Otherwise this theta will be same as this theta. Fine, because it is a half angle. Okay, and a plane which is making angle phi with x-axis. Fine. So intersection of these 3 points will be P r theta phi, as we have already discussed. Okay, then let us draw another sphere with radius r plus dr. So here the outer sphere is having a radius r plus dr. So difference between these radius of these two spheres are dr. Now taking another half plane which is making angle phi plus d phi with x-axis. Fine. So this angle is phi plus d phi, and this difference between this angle of these two planes are d phi. And considering another right circular cone with angle theta plus d theta with z-axis. Fine. So this difference in angle will be d theta. Now the intersection of these two black planes and these two spheres will be 4 half circle. So as you can see, these 4 white dotted lines which shows the intersection of these two half planes and these two spheres, and the shape of the intersection will be half circle. Then the intersection of these two cone, first cone and second cone. With these two spheres will be total 4 circles will be there. So I am not going to show full circle, but I have only shown the arcs, fine, of that 4 circles. And intersection of these two cone and these two plane are 4 straight lines. Okay, so by these intersections we can develop a differential element in spherical coordinate system. Fine. So this is how the differential element will look like in spherical coordinate system if we increase the coordinates of any point by differential amount. And now this point will be P and this point will be P prime. Fine. So P can be represented as R theta phi, P prime can be represented as R plus dr, theta plus d theta, and phi plus d phi. Okay. And the vector of P prime can be represented as R plus dr ar bar plus theta plus d theta a theta bar plus phi plus d phi a phi bar. Okay. So now if you have understand how the differential element is defined in this system, we will discuss the differential length. So consider a point P r theta phi and increase its each coordinate by differential amount. Doing so, we get a point P prime shifted from P having new coordinates as r plus dr, theta plus d theta, and phi plus d phi. Now a vector connecting point P and P prime is the differential length of element. So the differential vector length dl bar will be P prime bar minus P bar, which is dr ar bar plus r d theta. You see this length is nothing but, sorry, not this length, this length of arc. We have a radius r over here and the difference between angle is d theta. So again, if we put the formula, length of arc is equals to radius multiplied by angle. Fine. So over here our radius is r and angle is d theta. Fine. So this length in the direction of a theta bar is r d theta. Okay. And considering this length now, we know that over here this vector is r sine theta, that we have already shown when we were establishing a relationship between a spherical and Cartesian system. Fine. So this length is r sine theta and difference of angle over here is d phi. As you can see over here, this difference is d phi. So similarly this difference will also be d phi. Fine. So length of this arc, here the radius is r2, let's say it is arc 1. Here the radius is r sine theta and the difference in angle is d phi. So this length of the length of this arc will be r sine theta d phi. Fine. So in this we cannot write d phi only, we need to write the length of this arc. Okay. So this is how the differential vector length is defined, and the magnitude of differential length is under root dr square plus r d theta square plus r sine theta d phi square. Fine. Here in order to calculate properly, all the angles must be in the radian. Fine. Because doing so we can only multiply it with the some particular length. Fine. So angle should be in radian only. Here dr is differential length in r direction, r d theta is differential length in theta direction, and r sine theta d phi is differential length in phi direction. Okay, so you can easily witness this thing in this figure. Moving further, for differential surfaces, so this differential element consists of 6 surfaces as shown in figure. So I will cover 2 differential surfaces at a time, fine, and you can also see the highlight of the same surface in the main figure. So our first surface is inner curved surface, which is highlighted by orange color over here. As you can see, it has a length r d theta, as we have just proved that r d theta is a differential length in the direction of theta, and this length is r sine theta d phi, which is the differential length in phi direction. Okay, then its direction will always be in the direction of radius, and it can be shown by ds r bar is equals to multiplication of these two lengths, that is r square sine theta d phi, and the direction is ar bar. The second differential surface is outer curved surface, which is highlighted in orange color, as you can see here. The length of its sides are r plus dr d theta, that is this side is nothing but r plus dr d theta, and length of this side is r plus dr sine theta d phi. Okay, again the direction of this surface will be same as the direction of radius, and it can be calculated by this formula. Moving further, now let us consider another 2 surfaces, that is upper curved surface. So as you can see here in orange line, this is our upper curved surface, and the length of the sides are as shown. Fine, this length is nothing but dr, and this length is nothing but r sine theta d phi. Fine, the direction is shown in the direction of a theta bar and can be calculated with this equation. The fourth surface is lower curved surface. So as you can see, this orange highlighted surface is our lower curved surface, and the length of its sides can be represented as dr, and this length is nothing but r sine theta plus d theta d phi. Again, its direction will be changed as theta and phi values have been changed. Okay, but for this surface, again the direction will be a theta bar. So this is the formula to calculate the surface. Then remaining 2 surfaces can be represented as front curved. So as you can see in the orange highlight, this is our front curved surface, and these are the length of its sides. It is having a direction a phi bar, that is inside the yz plane, and this is the formula to calculate it. This is our back curved surface, and these are the values of its sides, and this is the formula to calculate the value of that surface. And finally, differential volume. So point P is the intersection of 3 planes, while P prime is the intersection of 3 other planes which are slightly displaced from the prior 3 planes. These 6 planes together defines a volume, which is referred as differential volume of the element. And volume is defined as the multiplication of differential length in r direction, theta direction, and phi direction. So the length in r direction is dr, then differential length in theta direction was r d theta, and differential length in phi direction was r sine theta d phi. Fine. So differential volume is nothing but the multiplication of three differential lengths in the direction of base vectors. So r into r sine theta will give us r square sine theta, then dr d theta d phi, dr d theta d phi. So this is how we can calculate the differential volume in spherical coordinate system. Thank you.